All right, sharpening session K390 Delica. I'm going to start here on my 325 grit Sharpall. This particular stone is super cheap. I think I got it for like 50 or 60 bucks off of Amazon, but it does the trick. I'm going to fast forward through a lot of this stuff too, just because I think sometimes watching somebody go back and forth, kind of, sort of like watching paint dry. So right now I'm checking the 320 scratch pattern and making sure I'm getting the entire bevel, and I'm feeling if I've started to turn a burr. I probably have a little bit, because K390 doesn't take too long to start to, it's very easy as far as high vanadium steels go to sharpen. So we're probably getting pretty close at this point already. And you can see here, there's some metal filings at the very top of the bevel. So there are a few different ways that I check and make sure I'm getting the whole bevel. First of all, it's by feel. You can feel when the bevel is 100% aligned with the stone. It just feels smooth, feels like it should be there. The second is I always watch the back of the spine and just make sure that it's exactly where it should be. It's why I do ambidextrous sharpening. And then the third is to really watch for metal filings at the top of the bevel. So you see the scratch pattern and the filings, you're getting the whole thing. So on this side, you can see the shadow at the tip. I stop as soon as that tip touches, and you can see the shadow disappear right under it, and that's when I stop. Just because if you go too far, you start to get some weird like widening at the tip, and I don't really like that. So that's how I know, how far to go. As soon as I see that tip touch the stone, that's it. And I probably turned the burr on that side. So now we're going to lighten up the pressure a little bit. And even now, still on 325, we're going to start our beginning stages of refinement and just flipping the burr a couple times, because that sets you up really nicely for what comes down the road. And it's not going to be too long after this that we're going to switch over. Probably fast forward a little bit more through this. Yeah. So again, checking those scratch patterns, feeling for burr. Burr is very, very easy to feel. One side is going to feel almost like a razor. You feel like as you run your finger across it, you can feel like metal coming at you. And then the other side just feels, it folds over on the other side. It almost feels like you're feeling a metal waterfall. It's very, very, after you feel it a couple times, you'll know it forever. So now I'm just doing alternating passes, and my first test of sharpness at this point, if you've done everything correctly on your 325 and and the burr isn't crazy, it's gonna, it won't move at all. So I'm happy with it, and we're gonna move over to 1200. That's what I like about these Sharpalls, is 1200 is just right there, boom, right on the other side. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, the stone is filthy. Sorry. I sharpen a lot of knives and don't always put them away. Super. Hey, you know what? We're grinding metal. What are you going to do? That ultra fine DMT on the left-hand side is in gruesome shape. I'm going to actually probably have to clean that off before using it next. All right, so on the 1200, I make an effort to use even lighter pressure than when I finished up on the 325. It just makes, you're refining at this stage and you're setting the final apex. So I go nice and light on it, and it kind of has like a secondary benefit of you're not going to mess up your apex if you have a momentary, if you have a moment where your finger slips a little bit or your hand slips a little bit and you kind of go a bit forward. So light pressure keeps you, out of the woods with that stuff unless you screw up. Checking the scratch pattern, and at this point we should be seeing a little bit of that 1200 grit reflectivity. It's not really shiny, but 1200 grit starts to look a little bit more reflective than like a scratch pattern. And I'm drawing through wood. K390 can develop a bit of a clingy burr, so I like to, once or twice per sharpening session, I like to draw very, very, very lightly through wood just to Just another way of attacking the burr and weakening it as much as possible. So I'm alternating very, very, frequently here because we're starting to get towards the end of 1200. And it should be getting very aggressive at this point. Yeah, it's not budging at all. It wasn't with 325, but now it's really not. And I don't know. I like to do that Murray Carter 3-finger test of sharpness. It's just one of those things that got dug into my head years ago. So my finishing stone is for this one is a Spyderco ceramic ultra fine. I alternate, it's kind of whatever's closest between this and a Sharpening glass 2.6 micron. And you're going to notice I'll probably use a couple of squirts of diamond. Yeah, I think I did. It should show up here in a second if I did. A couple of squirts of diamond emulsion compound, 4 microns for this, it looks like. Because when I'm sharpening a high vanadium steel, I like to use diamonds at every stage of the sharpening, just to, keep as much aggression as humanly possible. Because that's what you get these steels for. You want them to remain aggressive. And I think, if you spend too much time on the ceramic or you don't supplement it with diamonds, you're at risk of kind of losing some of that. So this is my way of keeping it around. The ceramics and the Sharpening glass are very good finishing stones because you can really feel your burr on them. The burr feels crunchy, so it really helps you identify like which part might still need a little bit of work as far as burr reduction goes. One more draw through wood there. So I might have still, and at this point we should be reaching like Here Be Dragons level of aggression with K390. Checking the reflectivity. Yep, you can see it a little bit there. Yeah, it's looking really good. I get a little bit obsessive about this, but it's just kind of a way of checking and making sure that every stage is gone 100% correctly. Now, by now, we should absolutely be shaving hair, no questions asked. And those 2 most prominent hairs, they're gone immediately. So you can see them there resting on the primary grind. So we're in good shape. It means we're ready to move on to strops. We're only going to do one strop for this one. I keep a few different strops and I put 3 compounds on each strop. This one is going to be a 2000, 4000, and 8000. And we're just going to do 2000 because K390 really, and a lot of the high vanadium steels, they do really well at those levels. They maintain really good aggression. And depending on who you ask, it kind of helps with your edge retention too, to sort of not go crazy with bringing them way, way, way down. So here, I'm just getting each part of the bevel there, making sure that I got everything. And it's kind of there's sort of two different processes going on here. There's your final refinement, and also that leather is just going to grab and whisk away any remaining burr. And that'll be that. At the end of this, it's going to be super, super aggressive, sharp, and fully apexed. That's it. You're seeing I'm just making sure that it's an effort to get every part of the blade there for, at least a couple seconds. Yeah. And I'm wiping off any excess compound. I'm narrating this because when I'm sharpening, I don't like to, I just like to keep my mind on that. I don't like to talk. So it's easier just to come back and narrate it afterwards. Oh, yeah. All right. So I'm going to fast forward through all this. I'm using the stone as a backdrop here. I'm trying to get hair whittling footage, and I get it towards the end. But, of course, now I'm way off left because I'm not even paying attention to where the camera is. And, of course, there's that. So I think I finally get it with this one here. Yeah. Now, K390 has this sort of annoying tendency. It's whittling here, but it has this annoying tendency, there it goes, to just take hairs and immediately cut them in half as opposed to whittling. So you kind of almost have to just come down and easily bring the hair onto it. I'm just very lightly kind of trying to angle the hair onto the apex, to keep it from doing that where it just splits it right in half. But at any rate, that's our good, we have a good baseline of sharpness. I'm going to take this knife and put it away for a month now and see if it retains the sharpness. I'm sort of doing some qualitative research into temporal edge retention to see if steels, see what steels really hold their edges when you just don't touch them at all, or if there is indeed some corrosion that takes place on a microscopic level and kind of robs you of some sharpness when you put your knife away for a little bit. Anyway, at any rate, that's the sharpening of the K390 Delica.